Yes, people, big up. Hope you're well. Sorry I'm a few minutes late, by the way. I was on the phone and I could not get off of it, but I'm here. I hope you're all well. I hope you're enjoying your weekend. And I can't lie, it's been a fantastic one for me already, but a busy one. And tomorrow is going to be even busier. Formula One, I'm all a big fan. Silverstone Grand Prix this weekend. For those of you that are into Formula One, make sure you get yourself over to On Track GP because myself, Matisse, and the guys will be over there tomorrow watching it live on the watch along. For those that aren't into Formula One, stay here because it's all football and it's all football on this channel. Was hoping a few guys would join me tonight, but in the end, they were busy. Saturday evening is very, very difficult. So I thought I'd do a little bit of a late show tonight and get people on to discuss what people's thoughts are on these Kylian Mbappe and Arsenal links. Now, let's talk a little bit about some of the other stuff before we get back into that. Before we get any further, or go any further, should I say, make sure you do me a favor. Please, people, smash a like on this. It's literally the click of a button. It costs no money whatsoever. And it might seem petty, but it really does quite a lot for the channel in terms of how many people can view this and who can see the content, how you can support what we do. So please, 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 let's make sure that we do that. I would absolutely love if you could subscribe to the channel. We're getting very, very close and close and close to 11K, which is amazing considering we only hit 10K a few days ago. So if you can, please support, that would be amazing. Subscribe, like, 2 buttons, clicked, done. And then sit back and enjoy the show. If you do want to put in a super chat, please make sure you do. We're going to do a bit of a Q&A like we do every night. If you put in a question, make sure you put a Q at the start of it so that I know that it's a question. It just makes it so much easier for me when I'm looking so that I can star them and get them answered. Okay, so let's start non-Arsenal today because the news broke today that David De Gea is leaving Manchester United. And I want to pose the question, is David De Gea an overrated goalkeeper? Now, I think we all know that he's a good goalkeeper. I don't think there's anybody that doubts the fact that he's a decent goalkeeper. I don't think there's anybody that would say that he's a poor goalkeeper or a shocking one. But when we look at the world-class goalkeepers, the top-class goalkeepers that the Premier League has had, is he classed in the top 10? Is he classed in the top 5? Is he a top 20? Where do people rank David De Gea? I'd love for people to let us know in the chat. Just put a number of where you think he should be in the comments. Let me know. Let me know if you think he's top 5, top 10, top 15, or if you think he's outside of that. Because for me, there's been some fantastic seasons of David De Gea, but there's also been some shambolic ones. Now, I know he got the Golden Glove this season, and people were talking about how he should have been, in Team of the Season and all this stuff. I actually do. I actually disagree. I don't think he's had a good season by the howlers that he's had. Um, I think he's a great goalkeeper. I think he'll be remembered as a great in the Premier League era. I don't think he's up there with the Schmeichels, the Petr Cechs, the Van der Sars, the David Seamans. I think Edison and Allison will probably go down better than him as well. So that's 6 off the top of my head. Is he in the bracket below that of the class keepers over the years like Mark Schwarzer, Brad Friedel, Shay Given? Is he in that bracket or is he below that? Let me know where you think, man, because there's a lot of people in the chat already saying top 10. Some people saying top 15. A lot of people are saying that De Gea's individual performances, Ross Taylor picks up the 2017 De Gea at the Emirates, outstanding. I can't believe we didn't score that game. He was absolutely superb. And like a few people, Christopher Kirk in the chat said, always used to turn up against Arsenal and still does, by the way. So I'm not going to start slating the guy. I do think he was a little bit overrated in terms of his all-round ability on the ball. He's certainly not a modern-day goalkeeper. I think his reflexes and his shot stopping is great. I do question his command of his area. I've always think he's been quite lightweight and weak. I do think that there's problems with his distribution. I don't think he's as good with his feet as some of the others. But actually, when you look at it, the last 10 years, he's been up there as one of the best in the Premier League. And if you were doing a team of the decade, who would get in? Would Allison, Edison, Czech, who else have I missed? Courtois, would they all get ahead of him? Maybe they would. It's going to be interesting for me to see what Manchester United do. I think it's quite clear they're going to try and get Onana from Inter Milan. They've had a bid rejected. But I do think they need to replace him with a top quality goalkeeper. I honestly think there's only a few options. Obviously, Diogo Costa is one for Benfica. They've already put in a bid for Onana, who I believe they want. The only goalkeeper I can see in the Premier League that they could potentially go for would be Emi Martinez. World Cup winner, too good for Villa, really, if you look at it. I don't think Emery wants to sell him, by the way, and I think he'll cost up absolute bomb. But that's the only goalkeeper I can see in the Premier League, other than perhaps David Raya. But other than that, it's looking to me like it's probably going to be Onana. Now, that would be a very good signing for Manchester United. It would completely change their style of play, particularly around from playing out from the back. I think they're a team that definitely want to try and move with the times in that respect. And Eric Ten Hag, I think, wants to do that. But I'm just a little bit surprised with where they're going at the moment, Manchester United, because Onana would be a good signing. Amrabat would be a good signing. Mason Mount's a good squad rotation player. I'm not so sure that he's a starter for me, but he's a good player. But they're still very short. Because if they get Onana, they got a good goalkeeper. But other than their partnership at the back, once one of them gets injured, Varane or Lissandro Martinez, they've got Harry Maguire or Lindelof coming back in. They ain't good enough. So they need another centre half. I'm still not too sure that Luke Shaw and Malacia is very, very strong, but he's had a good season, Shaw. I don't think there's a priority area to try and get a left back in, but they certainly could do with a better right back than what they've got, because Wan-Bissaka is fine one-on-one defending, but going forward, he's poor. And Dalot is okay, but I don't look at him and go, wow, Man United are sorted at right back. So a right back would be an option for me. Then I look in their midfield and I think they're probably going to get somebody next to Casemiro, as well as Bruno Fernandes, Mount, and Christian Eriksen. That's more of their attacking option. I think they probably need, well, they definitely need an upgrade on Fred and McTominay. Whether that's going to be Amrabat or not, we'll have to see. And then I think when they look at wide players, they've got some youngsters. Garnacho looks good. They've obviously got Rashford. But Sancho and Antony, they flat to deceive. The amount of money they've cost, they're basically Pepe deals at the moment, aren't they? If we relate it back to Arsenal. And then up top, absolutely gutless at the moment. They've got nobody. They've even lost Weghorst, who's gone back to Burnley, I believe. They've got Martial, or they're playing Rashford up there. That is it. So who are they going to get? Højlund is the guy they're talking about. Rasmus Højlund is honestly an underwhelming signing as far as Manchester United are concerned when it comes to a challenge of a title. He is not going to challenge them for the title, in my opinion. He's a very risky signing. He's pretty much only scored, 8-9 goals up top for Atalanta. Kolo Muani is another player that people are talking about. Vlahovic is a player that people are talking about. That's the one I would probably go for. And then, of course, there's Ramos from Benfica. But there's a massive shortage of number nines. There is a huge shortage of number nines for sure. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Manchester United at the moment, I'd be pretty worried if I'm honest with you. I'm not going to sit there and start stressing if I'm a United fan, because there's still a long way for the window to go. But at the moment, I look around and I think Liverpool looking good, Tottenham even doing business, Arsenal looking good, City already good, Chelsea going to do a madness, Newcastle now. Where are United in this mix? Interesting. If things were to close now, window-wise, United ain't getting in my top four. Liverpool are. And the other three are staying. Newcastle, Arsenal, and City. Long way to go, people. Long way to go. Let's talk Real Madrid. Now, Real Madrid have signed Jude Bellingham. Real Madrid have got a lot of players in their midfield. I would be so surprised if Tchouameni leaves Real Madrid. I would. I'd be shocked. I think he's a fantastic talent. 23 years old, French international, perfect for what they need. They've got Modric and Cruz. They've got Camavinga and Bellingham. They've got Valverde. And they've got, of course, Tchouameni. Now, there's 6 players in midfield they've got. And yeah, probably they're stacked. If any of them are leaving, who's it going to be? Now, a lot of the time, people are saying it ain't going to be Tchouameni. No way. Who is it going to be then? Because apparently they're getting rid of one of them. It's not going to be Modric and Cruz, because there's no point selling them. They're 37 and 36, I think. So you're going to get no money for them. Camavinga, potentially, but he's been playing versatile for them in terms of defensive, number 8, left back, left wing back, left midfield, whatever it be, inverted. I don't think they're getting rid of him. Valverde, are they going to sell him? No. So someone in the chat's made a great shout. Maybe Dani Ceballos. Yeah, maybe it will be Dani Ceballos. But they're not talking about getting 20 odd million. They're talking about getting a lot of money that's needed for, of course, the links to Kylian Mbappe. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if Thomas Partey leaves and we get in Tchouameni, I think we're fine. If Thomas Partey leaves and we don't get somebody in, we're short, because Rice Havertz, Erdegaard, Smith Rowe, Fabio Vieira. That's all good for some of the attacking options. And Rice, of course, being more of the holding or the number 8. But we've got Jorginho and El Neni after that. That ain't good enough. That is not good enough. So we're going to need to buy another player if Thomas Partey goes. And some would argue we need 2 if Partey goes, because we've only got Rice in to replace Xhaka. And then, of course, Partey would just be replaced by one more. Do we need another one? Because some would say we already need a central midfielder with both. So maybe we need both. Maybe we need 2 still. We ain't done in midfield. Arsenal are going to see a lot of outgoings before they see a lot more incomings. I think over the next couple of days, the Rice and Timber deals will get accepted, will get signed, will be announced. But actually, when you look at it, we need to start selling players now, Arsenal. And if Tchouameni is going to be one that's linked, I can only see a player going out. And I believe that player will be Thomas Partey, whether it's Saudi, whether it's another league. I'd like to think we can get some money for him. If we get anything less than 40 million, I think it's been an absolute steal by someone. So I personally feel like we have to try to keep hold of him, or if he's going, we've got to try and replace him with somebody of that quality. It's going to be very, very hard to replace somebody with the quality of Thomas Partey. That's for sure. Now, the reason that we're being linked with Real Madrid players is because, of course, they need to sell players to create some funds to try and sign Kylian Mbappe. And they've got a lot of FFP stuff like every other club seems to have. So it seems at the moment that Real Madrid are trying to do that. And there's a lot of talk about them wanting a striker, because at the moment, unless correct me if I'm wrong, people in the chat, I don't think they've got a centre forward to replace Benzema right now. A lot of people thought that could have been Harry Kane or Victor Osimhen. Who's it going to be? They actually do need to sign one. Now, Bayern Munich need one. Real Madrid need one. Manchester United need a striker. Arsenal and Chelsea apparently are linked with forwards. What's happening? There ain't that many forwards about. I've named about 4 that are half decent and 2 of them that are unrealistic. And there's about 7 or 8 clubs that need strikers. There's not enough number 9s about for me. There really isn't. So let's have to see what's going on with that one. Of course, Mbappe. The rumours come out, hasn't it, that he wants to leave PSG. He's made it quite clear, and actually he's made himself pretty much as dead cert to leave by some of his comments that he's come out with, and the president's come out and said he's not happy. Apparently the PSG's players are not happy. A lot of people are saying that PSG have got him over a barrel. I don't think that's true. I really don't. I think Mbappe's got them over it, because Mbappe can say, okay, I'll stay for one more year and I'll just leave on a free. They've said, you're not going on a free, so you either sign or we're selling you. And he's then going, well, sell me then. The problem you've got then is Real Madrid have to come up with the money. They're the only team, in my opinion, that can go and get him. I really believe his heart is set on Real Madrid. But the reason I brought this up is because he apparently is interested in Arsenal's project. Doesn't mean he wants to go to Arsenal this summer. It does not mean that he's leaving PSG and signing for Arsenal over Real Madrid. What it means is, if this is believed to be true, Kylian Mbappe is starting to look around. And he's looking around at the moment saying, I want to go Real Madrid, but what happens if that ain't an option? Manchester City, I'm sure, would be on his radar, and they'd be on his radar for sure. He'd be on their radar. I think he'll be looking at that. But actually, Arsenal, there's a lot of things going well that he's looking at. Young team. He likes the manager, apparently. He likes the project. He believes that he's the one who could take Arsenal to that title. He's a lover of Thierry Henry, one of his idols. He'd be coming to that side, playing in a similar position to him. I imagine he'll be playing left forward with Martinelli through the middle, or Jesus through the middle, competing there. Or would he play through the middle with Martinelli and Saka? Who knows? Who cares? We're dreaming, right? We're dreaming. We're imagining it. Do you know what I love about this the most? Although I think this is absolute nonsensical and I don't think it's going to ever happen, we're being linked with Kylian Mbappe, or we're at least being spoken in the same sentence as Kylian Mbappe. That don't happen. That's never happened. We've signed Declan Rice. That don't happen. Arsenal are never spoken about. The minute they say Declan Rice is leaving and it's probably going to be between 100 and 115, everyone goes, well, ain't us then. It's Man United or it's Man City or Chelsea. No, now it's us. Now it's us. Honestly, this is where we are right now. Arsenal are relevant again. We're right back to where we need to be in terms of the pull from other players and big players. Now, this is the time to get that window sorted so that we can actually go and do something now. We have to win something this season, in my opinion. We've spent 600 million now under Mikel Arteta in the 4.5 years that he's been here. If we spend another couple of 100 million like the rumours are suggesting that we're going to do, then that's going to be closer and closer to 1 billion. We need to go and win something with that. And I'm talking a serious trophy, not scrape a Carabao Cup on a 4th place. I'm talking go and compete for the Premier League, get into the deep stages of the competitions and win either a Champions League, FA Cup or Carabao Cup. That's what I'm talking about winning. Bringing a trophy home. That's what needs to happen. And I understand that Manchester City are ridiculously good. I understand that it's going to be hard to beat them. I personally feel like there is a chance for us to win this season. A quadruple has never been done. I would not like to put my money against Manchester City not completing a quadruple this coming season because I think it would be foolish. They got so close to it this year, didn't they? But actually, when you look at it over the years, we could go and win a trophy this year for sure, for certain. And I believe personally that we have to. Make sure you get your questions in, people. We're going to take a couple of them before we come to the close. I want to get a little bit of an understanding of where your head's at with some of the rumors today, the Mbappe stuff, the Tchouameni link. Who else do we need? I want to talk a little bit about that. So make sure that you do that so I can start to star them. If you want to throw in a super chat, then please make sure that you do. Obviously, I'll make sure that I put that one to the front of the queue. There's nearly 400 of you watching live. Please do me a favor, hit the like button. What are we on at the moment? We are on just over 100 likes. Let's get that up to 200 people. Come on, we can do that easily. Always go for half if we can. And there's about 400 of you watching. So it'll be good to get that as close as that as we can. Make sure that we subscribe to the channel as well, people, if you're new. It's absolutely free to do. I'm not asking you for any money of any kind. So please make sure that you just hit a like and subscribe. And then we can move on and we're all happy. Let's take some of these questions. This first one's coming in from Steve. Big up, Steve. I hope you're well. Let me just take a sip of water while I look at this question. So he says, I've seen the fixtures on the TV. I see Arsenal have Palace on a Monday. Monday games I'm not a fan of unless we come from international break. But at least it's London. My favourite Arsenal game on TV is Manchester United. The fixtures are out. Some of them have been changed and swapped around. I have to say, it's mad because a Monday night against Palace, it's always an evening game, Palace away, isn't it? Don't you always find that? Last season it was Friday night again away from home. Do you remember that? Friday night away from home. Oh my God. Why was it? Well, I'll tell you why it was. Because they believed, for whatever reason, that Arsenal were going to get battered like they did against Brentford. Funny how we win the league. Or win the league, I wish. Funny how we look to be competing with the league. All of a sudden, Arsenal aren't. Arsenal aren't all of a sudden. So let's be real. There's going to be a hell of a lot of people that don't mention this. And I mentioned it last year and people slated me for it. It's so true that the media seem to have some love affair with Arsenal losing football matches because that's what happened last year. Oh, we'll put them on Friday night. They lost to Brentford. That'll bring loads of people in. Now, I don't think Arsenal are going to lose to Brentford or Palace. Yeah, we better not make them the first game of the season. We'll make it Burnley, Man City. Come on, man. It's so obvious what's happening. It really is. Before I take your next question, there is something I've forgotten. Arsenal played a game of football today in pre-season. It was a behind-doors friendly against Watford, and the score was 1-1. Marquinhos scored for Arsenal. He came on as a substitute, a player that a lot of people have forgotten about, to be fair. But he made an appearance and got a goal against Watford. I'm going to read out the team lineup that I've got on my phone. It was a Conqueror in goal. Ben White played at right back. Rob Holding played at centre back. Gabriel was at left centre back. Cedric Soares was at left back. Another player people had forgotten about. There was a midfield three of Bandera, Lewis Kelly, and then Trossard in front of them. And then a front three of Gabriel Jesus on the left, Reece Nelson on the right, and Eddie Nketiah up front. Now, of course, there was a few players that come on, Kozia Dubry, some of the youth setup, and of course, Marquinhos, as I mentioned, who scored the goal. But what was interesting for me there was to see Trossard playing as more of an attacking central midfielder, Jesus playing wide, and Nelson playing on the right-hand side. Now, I think we might see a little bit of this in pre-season because I'm not so sure at the moment that Arteta is aware of what he's going to do on the wide areas and up front. I'll be very, very surprised if he's going to go out and buy an out-and-out centre-forward like an Osimhen type. I'd be very, very surprised. I'd love it, but I don't think it's going to happen. I look at things now on the right-hand side and think, what is going to happen if Saka gets an injury? It's going to be Reece Nelson. And that's why it's interesting to see Reece Nelson today going on that right-hand side against Watford, because I do believe that Arteta believes he can get something out of him on there. And if you remember, when Mikel Arteta first took over at Arsenal, he was playing Reece Nelson in the first team because Saka was over on the left-hand side, if I believe correct, if I'm right correctly, with Lacazette and Aubameyang playing. Reece Nelson was starting on that right-hand side. Sometimes Saka was playing as a left wing back or a left back, if you remember rightly. So I do think that he's got a little bit of love for Reece Nelson. And now that he's signed that new contract, I'm really interested to see what sort of player we're going to get, because I'm not really over the moon about it, because I feel like we can do better and upgrade. At the same time, when Reece Nelson was coming on, actually, he was playing well. And maybe Arteta believes it's worth giving him another go. So we'll have to see on that one. So yeah, I believe the highlights are available if you do want to go and watch them on the Arsenal website. I believe so anyway. So make sure that you do go and check that one out. Christopher Kirk, big up yourself. He says, are the Cronkies about to go full on, all chips in? Yes, I believe so. And I hope so. They need to. I can't stress enough how impressed I would be if Stan Kroenke and Josh Kroenke decide to put everything out there and just say, do you know what? I'm going to prove to you that we can go and win this league, and I'm going to prove to you that I'm ambitious enough to do it. Have another 200 million. If you need more than that, come back and speak to me. I want to spend all the money this summer so that we have a wicked squad, so that in the future, we just need a £50 million here or a £50 million there signing. That's what it needs to be now. Spend a lot this summer. You won't have to go and spend 600 million again for a long time. Trust me. So that's the way I see it. It's bizarre because I do feel like they've actually backed Mikel Arteta quite a lot. Where my downfall has been with the Cronkies is, have they actually backed him in a transfer window? Or has it been over a long period of time that he's giving him money? There's the difference there. Because if you spend, let's say you spend £1 billion over 10 transfer windows, or you do what Chelsea have done and spend 600 million in one, that is properly backing your manager. Over a 10-year period, competing with the money that we're competing with now, like the Cities, Chelsea's, United's, actually £1 billion in 10 years, nowadays, unfortunately, doesn't get you what you'd expect. That's the truth of it. That's the way the market is. It's what we're living in. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. So yes, the Cronkies do need to go all in. 100% they do. Clock Orange has said we still need more players. If Partey's leaving, we need a centre midfielder, a defensive midfielder, a right winger, and a striker. And I would sell Balogun, Eddie, Smith Rowe, and the fringe players. I definitely disagree on Smith Rowe, but I believe Eddie and Balogun, if they were to be sold, we would need a centre forward to come in that's better than both of them. If Partey leaves, we need to replace that midfield with somebody as good, if not better, although it's hard. And I do think we need a right winger. They're the positions I actually do believe that we should be getting 4 more players. I do. 4 more players are needed. You're absolutely right. I believe that is absolutely spot on, Clock Orange there. I really do. This is coming from Jay. He says, do you think we'll actually get a striker? And if so, who? No, I don't. I don't think we will. I think we're more likely to get a right forward or right winger. And I think that we will try to play Jesus, Trossard, and one of Eddie and Balogun there. Because I think Balogun will probably go, or Eddie will probably go, and then the other one will stay. That's what I think will happen. What I'd like to see happen is I'd just like to see us go and get Vlahovic, or if not, go and buy Ivan Toney in January. Or if we've got the money, go and get Osimhen. That's what I'd like to see happen, but we need to be realistic about it because I just don't see that happening. Or, of course, Kylian Mbappe, which, of course, I believe is unrealistic. Shauna says, now the Cronkies have won everything in America. Do you think there's focus on Arsenal now with the business they're doing? Yes, absolutely. Why would it not be? If they've gone and won everything over there, they need to move on now. They need to move on now, and they need to say, right, what else is there that we've got to do? Arsenal. That's what we need to go and do. We need to go and win the Champions League with them and the Premier League with them. And I hope that they do that, man. I really do. I can't stress enough to you how much I want that to be the case. Steven says, how far do you think Arsenal will get in the Champions League? I think the quarters at least, perhaps a semi-final, if they get the draw of Inter and Benfica, Milan, Napoli had. I think Arsenal should have the expectation of at least reaching the quarterfinals because of the 8 teams in Europe, Arsenal are one of them. Definitely one of them. Might even this season just gone been in the top 4. If you look at what Manchester City, Real Madrid, Arsenal, Napoli were doing in terms of the football they were playing, it was the best football to watch, you know. So quarterfinals for me is the absolute bare minimum expectation. My aim is to win it, like it is every trophy, but the expectation needs to be you go in the deep stage of the competitions, and if we're going to be knocked out by Real Madrid or even Bayern Munich or Man City or PSG, someone at that level, I can just about take it on the chin. I'll be disappointed, but I can just about take it on the chin. If we go out to a Club Bruges or an Anderlecht or a Sporting Lisbon again or Olympiacos again or a Villarreal again, I ain't having it, man. Like, we've got to be better than that. We just have to be. Bradley Martin says, Tchouameni or Milinkovic Savic. Who are you taking, Dan? I'm taking Tchouameni, but I do love Milinkovic Savic, but I do believe they're two different players. I think Tchouameni is definitely more of a holding midfielder, and I think although Savic can do that, Milinkovic Savic is literally unbelievably technically gifted on the ball, and I think he's definitely more of an 8 and would be a very good 8 as well. I think Milinkovic Savic and Rice could complement each other in a different way than Tchouameni would. Some might say that Milinkovic Savic is a little bit similar to Declan Rice. I might be wrong. I don't watch him enough. But I think Tchouameni and Declan Rice are two different players, so it might be the better way around. Let's move on to Tony Fulbrook, who says, I think Tchouameni will be that surprise signing, and he won't cost as much as people think. Yeah, I'm not too sure how much he'd cost. I think he'd probably be, if I'm honest with you, it's going to be around sort of 80 million, isn't it? I don't think it's going to be much more than that. But we'll see. We'll see, won't we, if the rumor's true that he's going to be looked at. Let's take a look at this one from Steve, who says it's important not us to improve the defense. Last year, attack did good, scored goals, but let in sloppy goals. And what two defenders would you get to strengthen that? I don't think our defense needs much more strengthening. I believe as a unit, it needs to be coached now. I think there's a difference between having the quality in defense, which I think we've now got, and actually defending as a unit. And I think when we missed Saliba, we had some really, really poor defensive displays. With Saliba, the problem we had was we were actually conceding goals at home quite a lot. Now, I don't know if that's the style of play, if that's the fact the crowd were getting them up and they were just going for it, gung ho, and leaving ourselves exposed a bit. But I do think it's something that we need to be coached and work on from Arteta. F4 Freestyler says, Dan, who would you prefer Arsenal to sign and why? Dusan Vlahovic or Jonathan David? Dusan Vlahovic, 100%. I've seen both players. I like both players, actually. But I think Dusan Vlahovic is a player that I do feel could come in and absolutely kill it in the Premier League. He's got physical presence. He can hold the ball up. He's an all-round number 9. He can flick the ball on. He can link up play. He's definitely a guy who knows where the net is. And he was banging in goals for Fiorentina. And I don't look at what happened at Juventus and think now he's a flop or a bad player, because I've seen players go to a lot of clubs that have done nothing and then come to the Premier League and absolutely bang. So it would be Vlahovic over me for 100%. Let's go to Tony, who says, apparently Edu and Arteta have got 170 million off the wage bill. Yes, I was listening to Robbie the other day and he was talking to me about this, saying that we've got so much money because of what we've done with the wages. If you think about it back now with Ozil and Mustafi and Aubameyang and Kolasinac and Bellerin and Leno and David Luiz, these Socrates, all these players that were an unbelievable amount of money. Crazy, crazy money, right? Now we've got that to spend. So absolutely great point there made by Tony. Ross has said, Potts, if we sell Party, how can we keep saying this is a good window? Selling your spine is suicide. This is a really good point, and it's one that I agree with. The only way we can say this is a good window if we sell Party is if we replace him with somebody that we believe can do the job or a better job. And that's going to be very difficult. When people were comparing this guy to Vlahovic and to Casemiro and to Rodri, there was a reason that they were doing that. And the reason was he was bloody good. He was bloody good. So I think we're going to have to be serious about that now. Like, if we're going to go and actually sell Party, we're going to have to get at least one player in, maybe if not two. So that's a great point. Let's bring this one up from Dan. Big up, Dan. Good name, by the way, mate. It says, why is everyone saying Arteta has been backed? I've seen he wanted Vlahovic, Martinez, Caicedo, Mudryk, Rafinha. He got a lot of plan B. What are the expectations? I think what you've just said there is bang on. And this is the window to change that. At the moment, he wanted Kai Havertz. He's got him. He wanted Declan Rice. He's got him. He wanted Julian Timber. He's got him. Now let's see who else we go for. Yeah, because we still need 4 more players, 2 midfielders, 1 winger and 1 striker. How many of them are we going to get? Are they all going to be plan A's? I think you've definitely got a right to be concerned, Dan, for sure. But I do think this window so far, the 3 that we wanted, the 3 that we've got. And more importantly, we've signed all of our young players up to long-term contracts. This is positive, man. It's a good place to be at the moment for sure. And this is coming from me, who's not always been Mr. Positive. Guna Will says, how much do you believe we can get in player sales? I believe 75 million is the minimum. Well, absolutely. That's definitely the minimum. We can get more than that because Thomas Partey, for me, is probably going to go for between 30 to 40 million straight away. Balogun's probably going to go for that as well. So there's your 60 to 70 million straight off the mark. And then you've got the Tavares, who's probably going to go for about 8 million, I suppose. Lokonga is probably going to go for about 8 to 10 million. I don't think we get much more than that, them guys. They've not really shined, have they? Cedric and Runnison are probably be like a couple of mil each. Rob Holding, likewise, a couple of mil. And then you've got the likes of Pepe, who can probably be a few million as well. Charlie Patino, what's happening with him? Is he going to go anywhere? So yeah, I think we can easily get to 100 to 120 million if I'm honest. I don't think it's going to be much more than that though. If I'm real with you, this is coming from Ross. Says Potts, do you believe clubs will target our left-hand side in games with Zinchenko always out of position? This is a great point. Martinelli, Zinchenko, and Havertz as your left-hand side is not very defensively sound. Declan Rice is going to have a hell of a job. Gabriel's going to have a hell of a job. This is why I believe that there's a need for Kieran Tierney to stay at Arsenal, because if there's any chance of this to go a little bit wrong or ski whiff on the left-hand side, Kieran Tierney's there to come in because defensively he's better. So Ross, fair play to you, man, and I can understand your concerns there. Abdul Ghaffar says, are you coming to New York for the Arsenal tour? My friend, I'm not, and I'd love to go. And I will come out to America. It is my dream to go. I've only been to Florida when I was like 16 with my family and went to Orlando and did all the rides, etc. It was absolutely magical. But for me, I need to go over to America. I need to go to America. Of course, Vegas and New York are the two places I'm looking at, but there's other places I'd like to visit as well. I've got a friend of mine you'll all know, Guna Podcast, Mike, who's invited me to come over to his, so I need to do that. Obviously, Sophie from Highbury Squad as well. I'll be welcome over there with both of those guys, and it will happen. But I'm not going to be here for the tour. But the AFTV boys are going. I know for a fact that Robbie, Lee, Cecil, James, Turkish, and I think Julian are all going out there. So make sure that you follow the content, guys, and follow their journey because it's going to be a good one. Let's take your questions as they come in now. We have got, Dan, why are we buying more right backs? We've got enough. This is a really strange one for me. We are being linked with yet again more right backs. We've been linked with so many, and it just can't sit with me that we're not going to buy one, because why are we linked with Fresnado? Why are we linked with Bowie? Why are we linked with the other guy the other day, the other German guy? I'm like, why are we linked with these players? Do we need them? Are we in serious need of a right back? Is there problems with Tomiyasu that we don't know about? Is there a problem that I look at and think perhaps our right backs just aren't there? I don't know, guys. I mean, let me know what your thoughts are, because on this one, I don't think we need another right back now. I honestly don't. I think if we were to get a right back, then it would be an overlapping one. I mean, for me, Frimpong is another one being linked. What's his name? Is it Sasha Bowie? Is it? I don't know his name, but that well. Come on. Like, we've got Tomiyasu, who when fit is really good. Really good on the ball. Defensively fantastic one-on-one. Aerial threat is superb. Aerial ability, 10 out of 10 for me. Can play right back and left back, and centre back. That's a good player. Ben White proved he can play right back and centre back. Julian Timber coming in to play inverted right back, six, and right centre back. Why do we need a right back? If we get one, it'll be an overlapping one, like a Tariq Lamptey type, somebody like that. But I'm not so sure that we're desperate for one, if I'm honest with you. So we'll see what happens there. Let's look at these last few questions before we come to a close. Kieran Karuk says, Dan, have you seen the party links to Man United? Would you sell him to him if it meant getting Tchouameni? I would not sell Thomas Partey to anybody in England. I really wouldn't. I don't think he'd want to go to Man United, if I'm honest. I think he wants to go to a team that is guaranteed trophies. And Manchester United are not one of those, in my opinion, this summer. So I'll be surprised if he wants to go there. I think he's probably going to be looking to go to Saudi Arabia, if I'm honest with you. If it meant we're getting Tchouameni, I don't want to be strengthening our rivals, man. I really don't. And I think that Chelsea have done that with Arsenal and United already. Because whether you think they're going to be top signings, they've given them either top players or squad players to try and strengthen them. I don't get why they've done that. Excuse me. Oh, it's warm up here, so I need some water. Yeah, I wouldn't be doing that. I wouldn't be doing that at all personally, but that's just me. Okay, Willow says if we get Tchouameni and we sell Party, Chaka's already gone. Would that be an upgrade in the midfield? Wow. I think people are underrating Rice and um, Chaka and Party and what they did this season just gone. I really do, man. I think they've been absolutely pivotal and vital. That trio won us so many games this season with Erdegaard in there. I think Erdegaard, Rice, and Tchouameni, yes, I think it's an upgrade as a whole because Rice is such an upgrade on Granit Xhaka. Although I think he had a good season, Rice is definitely a better player. And Tchouameni, if you're going to be looking at someone who's never injured like Party is, who's coming in as a younger player, coming in as a top talent, yeah, I think if you was to put on the market Party Chaka Erdegaard or Rice Tchouameni and Erdegaard, they're picking Rice Tchouameni and Erdegaard. And the good thing about that is that Havertz then comes into the mix as well as Smith Rowe to compete with Erdegaard as well. So that's what I'd be saying about that one, bro. Ian McDonald says we're focusing on signings, but would you agree that a loan signing will come in? I don't think we'll get any loan players unless it's something that we can do with a loan with an obligation to buy on a top talent. A bit like what Chelsea did with João Felix. Although he didn't sign from some Tchouameni, I don't think that'll happen, but that could be. Tell you what, we'll loan him and we'll obligation to buy him for 90 million in the summer. Real Madrid might be all right with that. I doubt it, but they might be. It's just an example. I don't think it'll be like, yeah, we'll keep him on loan for a season and see how he does. I don't think it'll be a signing like that. I just don't see that happening. I think Arsenal are done with loans. Forever Arsenal 28 says, so why is it that people are so hard to Havertz then? He wasn't a bad player in the Bundesliga. He's a very good player in the Bundesliga. Unfortunately, for the last 3 years in England, he's been terrible. Or not terrible, that's harsh, but he's not been great. And he's not lived up to the £72 million mark they bought him for, or whatever it was supposed to rise to go to. I hope he does it for us. I really do. I really do hope it does it for us. MVR, Dan, unrelated, but can anyone tell me what is Gavi good at? He's just a passion merchant. Gavi, don't watch enough of him. I prefer Pedri. I think he's a fantastic player. But Gavi, for me, is somebody that is being highlighted and tipped to be a future star. And I haven't seen enough of it, if I'm honest with you, in a Barcelona shirt to say that he's going to be. I don't watch enough of them. But when I've seen Pedri play, he looks like a baller, for sure. Let's take this one because this is an interesting one from Christopher. It says, Cazorla or El Neni? I take Cazorla, you know. I take Cazorla just because I love him. Maybe that's sentimental. I don't know, he's 38 or whatever he is now, but I love him. I absolutely love him, but I do think he's coming back as a coach. So I really hope that is to be the case because he is absolute top drawer, man. I honestly love the player. I'd absolutely love to see that. Let's have a look at this now. Who else have we got in the chat? Right, it's been so many of you smashing these questions in. I don't want to miss too many, but I'm unfortunately going to have to miss a few of them. Big up, Ronnie. Hope you're well, bro. I'm going to come to your question in just a minute, and I'm going to star some of the ones that people have put in so that I don't miss them. Keep them coming in, guys. We're going to do a few more minutes and then we will close. But thank you so much for all your support. While I'm doing this, please make sure you smash the like button. It would mean the absolute world if you could subscribe to the channel as well, because that's what we're trying to do, is get ourselves up to 11k very quickly. So thank you all so much for that. Much appreciated. Let's take these last few questions. This one comes in from Ronnie. Ron, big up yourself, man. I hope you're well, bruv. Great to see you in the chat, and we'll definitely have to catch up soon when we get back to the Tollington. Says question, I hope you're well, bro. Congrats on 10k. Thank you very much, mate. Do you think we're finished on incomings? As much as I'm impressed so far, I'm feeling they feel this is it, and I hope not. Your thoughts? No, absolutely not. They are definitely not done. I think they are going to wait after Timber and Rice is announced, and then they're going to sign after they've made some outgoings. I think that's what they're going to do, Ron. I really can't see that, bro. I think that if we stop now, we're a top 4 side. We ain't the title challenging side. So let's hope that we keep going, bro, because we need to be going. That's for sure. Chris says, is Lawler still being salty? Yeah, of course he is, man. Come on. His captain's gone. His captain's gone and he's annoyed. That's why he's getting salty. Bless him. Love Lawless though, man. Says Jake. Jake says, Dan, are you afraid if we buy another right back, we don't have the money for other ideas? Nah. Listen, we will not buy another right back and then decide not to buy anybody else. That's just not what happens, in my opinion. We do need more positions than that. He also says, Jake, Dan, how many players, including the bench players, are to compete with Man City? We need 4 more players, bro. We need 4 more players. I've said it. We need 2 centre midfielders, one defensive minded, number 6, one centre midfield, number 8. And then I think we need a right winger and a striker because then we have Saka, Jesus, Partey, and Chaka all covered in their positions. That's what we need, man. 100%. So that's what I would like to see us do. Simon Foster says, Dan, Saka looked a bit tired at the back end of last season. Who would be your ultimate signing? In terms of a right winger, it would be Moussa Diaby from Bayern Leverkusen. I think he would come in and be an absolute star. I've been a big, big fan, big talent over in Germany. And I do think, although Lee Gunner told me he doesn't rate him, I actually do think he's a good player. I really do. I like him a lot and I like what I see. And I think he would suit the Premier League because he's got some absolute silky skills. I'm a big, big fan of what I see. So I'm hoping that we can try and get somebody like that in. But we'll have to see, man. We'll have to see. This next question comes in from Steve. It says, would you say Ramsdale has been Arsenal's best goalkeeper post Seaman and Lehman? Listen, David Seaman's the best goalkeeper I've seen at Arsenal in my lifetime. Jens Lehmann is going to be very, very close to that as well because he's an invincible and played every game in that season, was just phenomenal. Alex Meninga, very underrated goalkeeper. But the Emirates era, we've had some poor goalkeepers. Wojciech Szczesny was probably up there, one of the best. Petr Cech had one season. Leno was an all right goalkeeper for us. Aaron Ramsdale's probably in the last 2 years proven that he's probably one of the best we've had. We haven't had any amazing ones. We've had some poor ones. You know, Fabianski weren't amazing for us. Almunia was poor. Ospina was all right. Manone was poor. We had Viviano at one stage, didn't we? Mark Poom back in the day. Like, we've had some poor goalkeepers, man. So we need to go and sign another goalkeeper, in my opinion, in the long run, because I'm not too sure about Matt Turner, but that's another story. Let's take this next one. Has the Caicedo ship sailed? I would love to hijack. That is the guy that I want. I'm sorry. He's still who I want. I want Caicedo, man. I want him. He can play in so many positions. He's unbelievably gifted. He's got huge potential. 21 years old, 6'8", can play inverted right back. I think he's a talent. And I would love to see us go in and hijack that and do what Chelsea to Mudryk to us. I really would. It'd be fantastic for me. Let's look at this one. Luzma, hope you're well. Says, any insights on the 2 coaches who left the Arsenal? Yeah, one of the coaches has left, Steve Round. He's gone. It looks like Santi Cazorla could be coming in to replace them on the coaching staff team. I hope that is true. And then the other person who's left, I've completely forgotten. O'Driscoll, is it? He has gone to Manchester United. So that's all I know. That is all I know. Who's coming in? We shall see. I hope it's going to be Santi Cazorla. I really do. Drew says, other realistic midfield options that are not named, Lavia or Caicedo. Both of them are probably more realistic than some of the names we've been linked with of late. One of them being Tchouameni and the other one being De Jong. I think personally, Lavia could be an option. The price tag is apparently stalling people. Liverpool aren't prepared to go up to 50 million. I don't believe Arsenal are either. I don't know why. Because if you want him that much, I don't think it's outrageous. I think it's a lot of money, but I don't think it's outrageous for a player who looks totally like next level, in my opinion. Like he looks so good, so good. But I would rather have Caicedo. I would. So interesting ones there. Willow says, what do you make of Arsenal letting that medical staff go? Yeah, we've just touched on that. He will be replaced. I think it's a little bit of a strange one. Don't know much about how that's happened, but there we go. Abdul Ghaffar says, are you worried about other top 6? I'm worried. I think the top 6 is going to change a lot this season. I think it's going to be very, very difficult for teams to get into the top 6. I don't think it's going to be one of these absolute givens, personally. I don't. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be mad. Like you know, it's so hard, this one, because of the transfer window not being shut yet. I suppose is my answer to this one, Abdul Ghaffar. I do think there's definitely a chance for some of the teams to be extremely disappointed this season coming up, and that's top 4 as well as top 6. Because what are Aston Villa going to be? What are Brighton going to be? What are Spurs going to be? Who knows? What are Chelsea going to be like when they come back? Liverpool, I think, will come back into the top 4. United haven't signed anybody big yet. Arsenal and Newcastle and City doing business. You'd like to think is good enough for at least top four, if not more. I'm not worried about any of the other top six sides currently leapfrogging over Arsenal by miles. I think if Liverpool beat us to it and get ahead towards Manchester City, it wouldn't be a huge shock. But I don't think it would be like, wow, they're like 15, 20 points clear here. I think that's how tight it's going to be. I'd be very, very shocked if anybody, any of the following teams finished above Arsenal: Man United, Chelsea, Spurs, Villa, Brighton, Newcastle. I would be surprised. If it's Liverpool or City, I wouldn't be shocked because they've done it before. But otherwise, yeah, it's not for me, man. I don't feel like it's going to be one of those. So let's see what happens. Guys, we're going to wrap it up there. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you on this wonderful Saturday evening. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'm going to be having a good one tomorrow. I'm off to watch the Silverstone Grand Prix in the studio on the On Track GP channel. Make sure you go check it out if you're into Formula One. And then I'm off to see Blur at Wembley tomorrow night. So I've got a busy one. I can't lie. It's going to be a fantastic day. So I'm looking forward to that. I've had a great weekend so far. And I hope you all have too. Make sure you're doing us a favor. There's nearly 600 of you watching live. Make sure you smash the like button, please. If not now on your way out, subscribe, please, to the channel. I want to try and get to 11K as soon as we can, people, because we are growing and getting towards that. So make sure you do that. It's absolutely free, people. Smash a like, smash a subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. Hit 2 buttons and it's done for me. That would be amazing. It really does mean the world because it brings the channel up so much. So that's what I want to be doing is trying to get these subscribers up. So thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate you being with us. I hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure that you smash a like on your way out. We'll see you next time. And as always, up the Arsenal. Take care, people.